Public speaking is one thing. Standing in front of a massive crowd or an audience is tricky enough for most people. It's not something that many people actually have to do in their life. But actually sitting in front of a camera is just straight up awkward. There's no one here, just me in a room, staring at a camera, just rambling my thoughts to you. So it's just strange. And there's nothing that you've ever done in your life that sets you up for this to be able to happen, because there's no relationship like this where you just roll in and you just speak directly at them with no feedback, with no facial expressions, with no reaction. You just speak in a way. So there becomes this problem where we don't really know if what we're saying is landing, and this can really sort of create a lot of self-doubt and imposter syndrome and all that sort of stuff. So in this episode, I just want to break down a few of the things that I've done in order to get more comfortable so that I can speak like this, like I'm doing right now, without a script, without a transcript or any of that sort of stuff. I just have a few notes that help me guide me through the subject, the topic that I'm trying to talk about, which is speaking better on camera. So one of the things really that comes up is confidence. Confidence is something that I've thought about quite a lot over the years, and what it is. How do we even become confident in the first place? And I feel like so much of confidence comes from the interaction with other people. To be able to say something, to be able to express your thoughts, your feelings, your problems, your desires, whatever it may be, and actually have a friend, a family member, partner, whatever, actually look back at you and smile, laugh, nod, offer some sort of like reaction. And that really allows you to kind of feel into what you're saying, and you can kind of like gauge whether or not what you're saying is actually making sense or whether or not it's valuable. And I think this is really one of the main things that really helps you with your confidence. It's the feedback, the interaction that you are actually having with somebody else. So when you're doing this, because that doesn't exist, it's really hard to actually know whether or not you are actually making any sense. So for me, one of the things, this is something I speak about a lot, and something that you can do, which goes deeper than confidence, is really more about self-awareness, about understanding who you are on a deeper level, understanding your mission, understanding what you stand for, understanding the kind of impact that you can create through the life that you've lived. So once you get clear on that, once you get comfortable with that, confidence doesn't really have as much weight, because you know yourself well enough, you become aware enough to feel that what it is that you're doing is going to create impact. So you can kind of remove all of that worry, all of that imposter syndrome, what are people going to think, because you've arrived at a place where you actually know that what you're doing is what you're supposed to be doing. So yeah, I'm going to get into this. One of the things for me that I'll just say straight up front, I do have advantages on this channel. There's many things that have helped me grow this channel really quickly, because I do have almost 20 years of filmmaking experience. So I've been able to integrate all that stuff into this channel. So obviously I've got a competitive advantage that allowed me to get ahead of most people in a quicker way. And one of the things that I've really sort of spent a lot of time getting dialed in throughout my filmmaking career as a documentary filmmaker is looking for truth, to be able to look at my protagonists, look at the guests in my documentaries and all that sort of stuff, and actually really observing and looking and directing to kind of make sure that what they're saying is just the pure, unfiltered truth. Because a lot of people, when they show up on camera, they feel like they're supposed to present, they feel like they need to look good, or whatever, they put on like radio face or camera face or whatever it may be, and camera face, and it really gets in the way of just bringing out the raw truth of what it is that they need to say. So I spent a lot of time, really kind of figuring out what that is, and directing people and helping people and creating a space so that people can be themselves, so that authenticity can come through. So when I started to do this for myself, when I started to think about myself being on this side of the camera, I just started to implement all of the things that I've done in my life, all of the direction that I've given other people, all the stuff that I've thought through in order to get my films to a place where it does feel like, that presenting is just nowhere to be seen. Because that for me is just like old school. I don't even know how we got there, how we ever got to a point where we thought it was like interesting for people to be like, hi there, all that sort of stuff. It's just so unreal and so unauthentic. And for me, realism is super important, and if any of you guys have joined my school community, it's called The Really Real for a reason, because I'm really interested in that. So everything I do here, it's all about really creating a space of reality so that we can strip everything back and just be as close to being real as possible. One of the ways I was able to do this, one of the most fundamental things that I've done in order to get better at this, is to just practice, and practice in a way where I knew that what I was doing would never be seen by anyone. So I would just set up the camera and speak a stream of consciousness without scripting, without thinking about what I wanted to speak about, and then just allow whatever it is that wanted to come through, I would allow it to come through. And this was super uncomfortable for me, super awkward. I would do it when my family went to sleep. You know, they'd all go upstairs, I'll see the lights would turn off, and I'd go into the corner of my house, you know, my little camera set up, sort of looking over my shoulder, making sure no one's watching me, because even the thought of like my family seeing me do this was really uncomfortable, because this is just not a natural thing for me. I never imagined myself sitting in front of a camera. It just wasn't on the cards for me. And up until the point where I realized I had to do it, I had a limiting belief that kind of just said that I thought that this was sort of like narcissistic and all that sort of stuff. You know, why is it that anyone could feel like they could just turn up in front of a camera and speak, like, who, you know, like, and think that somebody would actually care. Those were the limiting beliefs that I had that were really getting in the way. And it took me a long time to kind of get through that, to get to the point where I could actually speak in a more comfortable way. So I would just sit, record, and speak for ages. It could be like an hour. And then I would just find some time to be able to watch it and observe it in the same way in which I would if I was working with somebody in one of my films. And I would be able to see, you know, moments where there was presenting or some sort of strange thing that was coming through. I was like, that's not me. That's not me. Like, let's get rid of that. To the point where I did this for months. You know, I would even put headphones in, go for runs, and listen and kind of feel into like, where is the tone? You know, where is it not sounding like me? And then I just ripped all of that stuff out to the point where I got to a point where I just felt like this feels as close to me as possible. This is what it feels like when I'm talking to a friend in a cafe, at the beach, going for a hike, whatever it may be. This is as close to that as humanly possible. But when I started, it wasn't like this. You know, I was just like rambling away, you know, just like it was strange, you know, strange situation. But the good thing was I was able to, you know, direct myself and have a keen eye to be able to see what was truthful and what wasn't. Because ultimately, what I'm looking for, what I'm looking for in my films and through what I'm doing here is truth. This is the most important thing for me, that, you know, whatever it is that we're doing is just real. And that's why I do things in this way. You know, that's why I've been setting this whole YouTube channel up in this way, with as little, you know, what's the word? With as little, I don't know what the word is, just like lots of shit going on, you know, lots of graphics and all that sort of stuff happening. Like I just wanted to, like none of the AI fake stuff. I just wanted it to feel real. So that was really important for me to get right before I actually sat down and press record. And that took quite a few months to get to that point. And then I started posting. Videos and actually being able to then see the view count going up, seeing the subscribers going up, seeing the likes, seeing the comments and all that sort of stuff. Those weren't just metrics for me to be like, yeah, look how cool I am, look how amazing everything is. It was just actually the feedback that allowed me to build the confidence for the channel. So that actually felt more like what it was like when you know, you're actually having an interaction with somebody else. It's just delayed. You just have to post it and later on you get to actually see the reaction. And then you can actually see, okay, cool, like what I'm doing does make sense. The thing that I felt was important is coming through. So that was really important. So you actually do get that engagement where you actually really start to feel that there is some sort of interaction that's going on between me and you, me and the community. So when I'm sat down here now in front of a camera and speaking directly to you, I'm speaking to you. I'm not speaking to a camera. Like right now, I'm looking at the camera, but I'm actually looking straight through the camera, knowing that you're on the other side. And I know that you've been asking for this kind of episode. You've been saying that you've enjoyed the tone that I've been delivering, you know, throughout the series, throughout the growth of this channel. So I'm speaking directly to you because you asked for this. This is a problem that you're having. And now when I think about this, I'm visualizing my community. I've heard loads of you in the comments. I've been working with people one-to-one. So I've really got to know who you are directly, which has been amazing. And that's really shifted the whole perspective. I no longer feel like me sat in a room speaking to a camera. It doesn't actually feel so awkward for me anymore. I don't feel like an imposter. I just feel like I'm aligned with what it is that I know I need to do. I'm aligned with my mission statement. I'm aligned with my offer. I'm aligned with who it is that I can help. And that is the thing that I talk about on every single one of these episodes, you know, being able to take everything that I've learned in my life, all those years of filmmaking, the 40 years of living, my deep love for philosophy and the nature of reality and why it is that we do what we do, human behavior and all that sort of stuff. And then being able to bring all of that stuff into this channel to be able to help you grow an authentic audience, grow a channel, grow a personal brand, grow your online presence so that you can create impact and maybe even create a sustainable online business, if that's the kind of thing that you're into. So really, once you get that mission statement dialed in, once you know what it is, once you become more self-aware, when you start to reflect and investigate into the nature of yourself, like what are the kind of things that you find valuable, what are the kind of things that you really want to project into the world, once that stuff becomes clear, once you start to feel, this powerful thing going on inside of you that needs to come out, once you get to that point where that overpowers the fear, the worry, the imposter syndrome and all that sort of stuff, that's when you know it's time to go. And again, I do have that school community. I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to come check it out. It's free and I'll see you there. If not, I'll just see you right here in the next one.